5 p.m. Call the March 10th board meeting, regular meeting to order. Mr. Rivas, Mrs. Cerruti, Mrs. Gonzalez,
Here.
Mr. Walk,
Here.
Mr. Cabral's here. Item number 2, public communication, closed session items. Members of the public may address the board on items not on the agenda. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes unless the time limit is waived by the majority of the board. The board will allow comments by members of the public on an agenda item during consideration of each item. The board may limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the numbers of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Complaints against the specific district employees should be resolved through the district's personal complaint procedure. The right to address the board does not exempt a speaker from any potential liability of defamation. The proceedings of the board are recorded and are a part of the public record. At this time, any members of the public wish to address the board on any closed session items? All right, seeing none. We'll go ahead to closed session at 5:01 p.m. Call the meeting back into regular session. Flag salute by Gabriel Gajardo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. Item B, report out of action taken in closed session. In closed session, the board took action to issue notice of non-reelect probationary certificated employee identified by numbers 36051 and 36252 pursuant to Educational Code Section 44929.21B, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Direct the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows: 5 ayes and 0 nays. Item number 5, public communication, agenda and non-agenda items. Members of the public may address the board on items not on the agenda. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes unless the time limit is waived by the majority of the board. The board will allow comments by members of the public on an agenda item during consideration of each item. The board may limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Complaints against specific district employees should be resolved through the district's personal complaint procedure. The right to address the board does not exempt a speaker from any potential liability of defamation. The proceedings of the board are recorded and are part of the public record. At this time, does anybody wish to address the board? Please step up to the podium, state your name. All right, seeing none. Moving on to item number 6, approval of agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda as listed?
I motion to approve.
I motion to approve with the removal of item E.
From the consent calendar, right?
Moving item E.
From consent calendar.
Can I get a second to approve the consent calendar as listed and removing item E?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy,
Aye.
Ms. Rivas,
Aye.
and Mr. Corral votes aye 5-0. Item number 7, information discussion items. Our student board report by Venicia.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. So for this month's report, it's pretty short, but starting off with sports, Basketball season and soccer season has officially ended for both boys and girls, and now track, softball, and tennis has finally begun. Track has already had 3 meets, and all times Simba has placed pretty high. As long with softball, they have begun their games, and the girls are doing really good this year too. For the musical play, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, their last show was on Saturday, and every show had almost been completely sold out. The performances were more amazing each show, and people who have attended all enjoyed it. The next play that will be happening is called Trap the Play, and their first show will be held on May 1st. As for our clubs, Heart Denim Derby Day will be held on April 16th, along with NAMI's Walk in Their Shoes. Newman FFA Tri River Kickball March is on the 17th of this month, they'll be holding the Jess's Barnyard. Today was a student versus staff volleyball game, and the students did win. They played 3 matches and the teachers only won 1, so it was a pretty tough day to be a teacher. So now on to upcoming events. The prom theme was finally revealed. It is a night in Versailles, which is inspired by the Italian Renaissance. So our students will be embracing the French Romance with flowers, lush, and gold. Prom will be held on Saturday, May 3rd, and the tickets will be going on sale very soon. That is all for this month's report. Thank you.
I got a question. Did anybody get hurt?
Maybe their ego, but that's it.
Item B, attendance awards, Dr. Seha.
Good evening, President Cabral, Superintendent Pruitt, and members of the board. It gives me great pleasure to announce the attendance awards for the month of February. We'll start with the best staff attendance, and that will go to Bonita Elementary School. The most improved attendance for students goes to Hurd Barrington. And the overall best student attendance award also goes to Hurd Barrington. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Item C, alternative education school of the month, presentation by Mrs. Kivas.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Cabral, Superintendent, Mr. Pruitt, board members, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Seha, and community members. I am Liliana Esquivas. I know you've seen me up here before representing Bonita, but I am also the very lucky and proud principal of our alternative education. Hey, hold on. It's this one. Okay. Or maybe not. Maybe I should try with that. Start with that. Okay. I would like to start a presentation by sharing some of our accomplishments and celebrations. I want to report that we have met our LCAP goal number 3, and we've reduced our suspension rate at alternative education by a 9.5% in the last school year. And that's a big accomplishment. We went from the red to the green, and green on the dashboard is always good. This year, we also received the FIT Award for being the site with the most improved facilities. I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Matt Vargas. He made sure that our facilities were ready the first day of school for our students. Our students have really enjoyed our new basketball court and our mini golf course. Believe it or not, we have that at All Tech. I also want to celebrate our early graduates. We have 11 students who graduated Westside this year. 5 students graduated from independent study already this year, and 9 returned back to Oristimba, and more to come. Come on, get it. Clap. This is really good. This year we were fortunate to have a learning director on campus. We used to share our learning director with Oristimba, and it's made a great difference and very positive impact at our school. Ms. Rosario Vargas couldn't be here today to talk about the amazing work that she is doing, but as you can see, she is in charge of planning all of our presentations. She's brought guest speakers to our campus. She's scheduled FAFSA workshops for parents and students and has really supported our site. Some pictures of the events that our students have participated. And now I want to introduce Mr. Everett Marr, who is going to share the work that he is doing at our site.
Thank you. My name is Everett Marr. I go by Birdie on campus. That's what the kids call me. That's my nickname. I'm the campus supervisor there at Westside and Foothill. My background is I'm 25 years retired from juvenile probation in Santa Clara County. So coming to a facility where sometimes the perception can be that it's, these kids, they're not on par, however, sometimes they're seen. What I was viewing and what I was seeing was that there was a lack of confidence. Some of the kids didn't have focus. So I'm sitting there on the benches and I'm trying to think of ways that we can engage the kids where we get them to start to see themselves different. So first thing that hits my head is we got to change the culture. We got to get into something where we can engage the kids and have dialogue. So the teachers and we got together with the permission of Mrs. Escovez to bring both classes together and let's start to work on your tomorrow. And that's the name of the project. What is your tomorrow? So the question was asked, tomorrow is coming. Are you ready? So are you ready to go get that job? Are you ready to walk into an employer and have confidence, look at them, sit in front of a panel of 4 or 5 people and answer questions and get the job and win it over whoever was there? So as soon as you realize how important each tomorrow is, the gravity of today becomes that much more important. So now we have to build. And how are we going to build? First, we have to build a foundation that these kids are going to stand on. And then the 4 pillars you see there, identity, purpose, character, and aura are what's going to be built on this foundation. So the foundation is built on accountability. It's ownership versus minimization. We got to understand that you guys have to own every decision you make in life. And this is what's communicated with the kids. And then we get to the pillars. I'll just go through them briefly. Identity. Who were you before you came to Westside? Who are you now? And who are you going to be tomorrow? So this is really when we get them to understand that tomorrow is not just Tuesday or Wednesday, it's next week, it's 5 years from now. We got to start focusing on your future. Excuse me. Then we get to purpose. What is your destination, your goals? What is the direction that we're going to be moving into? And then let's move, let's have action. You will not be pushed into your purpose. You will be pulled from within. I can't tell you what you want to be. You have to start to dig deep in yourself and really understand, these are the things I like to do. And sometimes these kids, they really don't see themselves any other than behind a laptop and trying to recover from, I'm down 15 classes. So then we get into the next pillar, character. Who you are matters. Humility, integrity, responsibility, and honesty. And then the last pillar is aura. This is a word that the kids use, right? Your aura, right? What do you bring into the room when you walk into the room? So realize that when you walk into a room, I'm going to change the temperature in here. If there's a lack of something, I'm going to create that lack. I'm going to fill in that gap. So Westside is striving to become a vision campus. And what is that? Your eyes show you what is, vision shows you what can be. So we're trying to really get kids to put them in an uncomfortable position. Really, right? Fight those things, their anxiety, their depression, and have a dialogue. And it's awesome. We've had 4 classes. They're 30 minutes each. I got 2 more to go. And it's literally me sitting out on the bench and writing up the class on Tuesday, and we go in there and talk about it on Wednesday. And shoot, I didn't think it was gonna be this hard talking to the mic, but that's pretty much it. So that's what I'm just thankful that Ms. Escovez allowed me to kind of jump into this. I love working with kids. I love seeing them move from a place of isolation to a place of boldness, but with humility, right? We like to see kids move, and that's what we got to do. And the one last thing I will say is that everything that's up there, the staff has to model it. We're here to model everything. So if we're not modeling it, I can't teach accountability if I'm not accountable. So hopefully everybody, I'm talking from the secretary to the kitchen staff to the campus supervisor, teachers and principal, when they come in contact with a student, we're giving them the same thing. There's never anything that's different. So they're always being surrounded by somebody that's kind of pushing this agenda. And real quick, I just want to say congratulations on your son. 8th place in state. So, and now Mr. Sergio, hopefully that wasn't too long.
Good evening, distinguished board, Superintendent Pruitt, Mr. Sea, Ms. Fox. My name's Sergio Lara. I'm actually here with La Familia Central Valley, a nonprofit organization in Turlock providing mental health services. And then also representing alternative education. So I want to thank Mrs. Escovez also for giving me the time. I just have 4 points to share, and then I'll hand out a few flyers afterwards. I was responsible for hosting a 12-week program called Joven Noble, Noble Youth, through the National Compadres Network. And that's the flyer I'll pass out in a moment, but some of the things that we did within Joven Noble was help the young people focus on a rite of passage, so what we call crossing of the bridge, and helping them become an honorable young man or woman. Not that they weren't before, but examining or learning a value system, a belief system that will help them later on in life with positive values. We help the young people identify and develop a healthy value system, like I mentioned, which entailed breaking negative norms and stereotypes. Not only that they have about people, but sometimes that they have about themselves, doubting themselves, not feeling good enough, not feeling smart enough. So kind of changing that narrative. Some of the things that we redefined was what it means to be a macho, and kind of took away the negative connotation and replaced it with positive. Someone who's responsible, someone who's a friend, someone who's sensitive. They acquired knowledge and practice the concept of what we call palabra, which is having a credible word. They learned a little bit about what happens when I break my palabra or my word with my family or those in my circle. What happens when I keep it? They were able to kind of look a little bit more in depth into who is in my circle, in my círculo. Who are the people that I can go to, that I can trust, and what does my palabra or my credible look like? Credible word look like with them. And lastly, they learned about the 4 pillars all throughout the 12 sessions, which is the importance of acknowledgement, understanding, integration, and taking action. Thank you.
Just read.
Oh, no,
Good.
all you.
All right, thank you, sir. My name's Gabriel, and I come from Westside High School. And my experience there was honestly amazing. Like, I couldn't ask for a better school for real. And the staff there they were very caring. They were nice. They always checked up on me when I walked in the morning, and yeah, they were just there for me a lot. And my first thoughts when I first came in, I was like, man, I'm not gonna make any friends here. It's a small school, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. But when I first walked in, Mendoza really introduced himself, and he really started a bond right there. And we went over my transcript and what I had to do. And I first started off with 40 classes, maybe even more. and now I'm at one or more. I have one class left. And they really pushed me to do that because you know, they checked up on me, see if I was doing work. And I want to give a special shout out to Barry for the presentations that he does. Like, it really touches me. Tells me about my tomorrow, you know, to be ready for tomorrow, to be prepared for tomorrow. And yeah, my overall experience there was honestly amazing. Shout out to the staff. I really love the staff. They're very nice. And they're really there for me. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
It's a beautiful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Item D, our debt management presentation by Mr. Dale Scott.
Good evening. Usually when I'm introduced with the title Debt Management Presentation, I pause to let everybody leave the room. So I can't tell you this is going to be as inspirational as the last two presentations, but we'll try to get through it here. For those of you that don't know, we serve as financial advisor to the district. I'm going to give you, there's no action tonight. Obviously, this is all just sort of background. There are two issues that the district is going to need to take action on in the next couple of months, which we'll cover as well, but I want to give you the background. So if we can go in this presentation to slide 3, which starts with the district's underlying assessed valuation. This is the value of all the private property in the district, commercial, residential, industrial, agricultural, et cetera, and this is what the tax levy that supports all these bonds is placed on. So you can see over the last really 20 years or so, there's been good, solid growth in this community. Average for the last 10 years has been over 6% per year. This is not the market value. This is the taxable value, the assessed valuation that if you're a homeowner, you would pay against on a tax rate. On the next page, on slide 4, just as background, this is the voter turnout in Stanislaus County, and then a description of your voters. As you can see, the light blue, the last election in November 24, very strong turnout in the county, 70% of the registered voters voted. Interestingly, your breakdown of party affiliation is almost identical to the state of California, which I thought was very, very striking. And in terms of the the decline to state is exactly the same as the state. A little bit larger Republican, a little less Democrats, but it's almost exactly the same as the state at large. Okay, let's get into what has happened on page 5. You can see that you have had actually excellent success with only one particular failure, which happened in March of 2020. Does anybody remember what happened in March of 2020? So,
COVID.
good reason why it didn't fail. Everybody was staying home and worried, et cetera, et cetera. You came back a few months later in November of 2020 and passed the measure. Overwhelming support by the voters for this district. The yellow at the bottom, you go all the way over to the right-hand side, you can see that is the amount of bonds that have been unissued. What I mean by that is the voters have approved those bonds, but you haven't, as a board, taken the action to actually sell the bonds. So until you do that, there's no tax involved. What is happening, to put it in a different way, the voters have given you the authority to issue these bonds on behalf of the district. And you have over $50 million, $60 million of authority of unissued bonds. We'll talk about how that works in just a second. Turning to the next slide, those bonds, I won't go over in much detail here. Those bonds get sold, they get passed by the voters, and then you sell them in increments. You still have a number of these bonds outstanding. Some of them can be refinanced, some of them can't be refinanced, but this is just for background information as you're wondering what you're paying the taxes for. Okay, if we take all of that information, the bonds that have been sold, the assessed valuation, the growth rate of the assessed valuation, and we start projecting, well, what is going to be the tax rate in the future for all of this that the taxpayers are going to have to pay on? And when I say tax rate, that's the cost per $100,000 of assessed valuation. And we can model that. And these are estimates, but this is not the bonds that you haven't sold. These are the bonds that have already been sold by you and past administrations. And you can see it's roughly at $120, $110 per $100,000 assessed valuation, and it begins to step down. And this is paid for the next 20 or 30 years. These are the funds that go to produce improvements and new facilities in your community. Okay, let's go through the few bonds that you now have to issue. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a twist in here because I want you to be aware of something that's coming for your decision soon. Measure X was passed in 2020. You have actually issued what is called a bond anticipation note. That's like forward funding. It's like bridge funding. It's coming due actually this year. And so we have to raise additional funds from the bonds to pay that off, and then it'll be a long term. This is because we were trying to stabilize the tax rate and not raise the tax rate on people. So we sort of jumped over a few years. In addition, the district issued about $5 million of this last year. To make certain improvements, you have $20.8 million remaining. And this is what the additional tax rate would look like from those bonds. That's the blue and the gold, Series A and Series B. Now, here's the curve. Okay. This is a little esoteric, but I have to go into it. And I apologize if it gets just a little wonky. In addition to having to have the voters pass this, they have what is called a tax rate limit, which I think you've all probably heard of. This is the limit when you go to the voters. You say the tax rate is not going to be more than $50 or the tax rate is not going to be more than $60. In addition, there is a part of the education code that limits the amount of debt that a district can have outstanding to 2.5% of its assessed valuation. It's very esoteric. It's in the education code. It's not ongoing. It's a one-time measure. So whenever you go to issue new bonds, we have to calculate, okay, how many bonds are currently outstanding? And are you below the debt limit or are you above the debt limit? I know it's kind of esoteric, but let's look at it. So this is the blue is the current amount of outstanding bonds, outstanding principal that you have outstanding, and you're paying it off. So every year it's going down, right? The red line is the debt limit, the 2.5%, and we are projecting that assessed valuation is going to increase. So every year it's going up. So right now you have a available capacity that's enough to issue the 2020 bonds. You'll see how that works on the next slide. We can issue the remainder of that 2020 bond, and you're below the debt limit. So you don't need to do anything. However, when we go to issue the bonds that were passed in 2024, you will be above the debt limit. So the state provides the ability for you to seek a waiver from that. It's not hard to get. I don't know of any that have ever been denied. It's just more procedure, more paper that has to be filed with the state, and it takes a little bit of time. I'm going to go through that in a minute. So we would ask the state for a waiver. I'm on slide 13 now, and you can see what we're requesting. The red line is the current debt limit. We'd ask the state to raise that limit up to the black line, for example. And if you do that, and if they grant that, which I'm certain they will, then you will be under the new waiver. I know this is very esoteric, but you have to go through this process to get these funds. So is everybody with me so far? Okay, good. So what we have to do is we have the ability to issue the 2020 bonds now, and we have to do that now, when I say now, in the next couple of months, because we have this short-term bond anticipation note that we have to pay off. Plus you need other funds to continue the improvements to the district. And at the same time, we have to apply to the state for a waiver so that you can issue the remainder of the bonds that were passed in 2024. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. Measure S and T, which were passed in 2024. This is a example of how these bonds might be sold. It's going to be up to you in the future, but we're projecting you're going to sell roughly $10 million every couple of years for Measure S, and $9 or $10 million every year for Measure T. Again, those can't be sold until we get the waiver, which we're projecting will happen this year. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how this all fits together. Okay. So on the bottom of the page, over the next couple of months, we have what is actually going to happen for the financing of the 2020 bonds. In April, we'll bring a resolution to the board approving the issuance of that second series of bonds, the Series B. Once we receive the rating, we will then take that out into the market on your behalf, get bids from the underwriter, price it, and then in roughly the middle of May, you'll have enough money to pay off that ban and begin the improvements that you need to fund now. Simultaneously, looking up at the top, we'll have to work with your administration. There's some meetings that have to happen with the bargaining units. They don't have to approve it. They just have to be made aware of what you're asking for. We'll put a resolution in front of you to approve the request for a waiver, submit it to the state, and then in roughly September, the state will give us the waiver. That's how the meetings. And then you will be able, by the end of September, to issue the remainder, or not the remainder, the beginning of the 2024 bonds, the S and the Ts. So it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but the two big pieces that are coming at you are a resolution to pass the remainder of the 2020 bonds, and also a resolution to begin the waiver process. Like I said, not as inspirational as the last presentation, but it is the glue that keeps you together to keep these facilities in good shape. So I'm done. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there a fee for the waiver?
No, there's no fee. The state doesn't charge for the waiver. The lawyers don't charge for putting the waiver together. We don't charge for putting the waiver together. It is really an administrative, simple process.
Any other questions for Mr. Scott? Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Right.
Item E, New Crescent Unified School District Mission and Vision Renewal Process. Committee and team, and Mr. Pruitt.
Before I get started, I do want to say our team saw that Lily was on the presentation tonight, and we promised to be more positive than Mrs. Skiva's tonight. I don't think we're going to make it. So first of all, Board President Cabral, board members, and everyone here tonight, thank you for the opportunity to present this important work of renewing our mission and vision for our NCLUSD. As we look ahead, we recognize the importance of building our shared future. This is more than just a district initiative. It's a community-driven effort to renew our mission and vision, and that is so that it truly reflects who we are today and where we want to go. This renewal is more about ensuring the NCLUSD remains a place where our students and staff and community thrive. It's about setting clear direction that aligns with all of our values, goals, and aspirations of the future. Mr. Cope.
Good evening, everyone. We are excited to be here, and we are excited to discuss our mission and vision renewal plan with all of you. What we're doing is we'll be gathering input from all of you and our students to work toward a common goal, which will end up in a renewed vision and mission statement. So how are we going to do this? We're going to create opportunities for all to contribute in shaping the future of Newman Crows Landing School District. We will ask for information and ideas from all educational partners with the overarching goal of understanding our students' priorities and needs. Once our priorities and needs are established, we'll design mission and vision statements that are valid for today and also in our future. By working together, we can create a common goal and shared vision that benefits, inspires, and directs us all. Mr. Pruitt.
So the next slide is basically our why. Why are we doing this? When we look at our current mission and vision statement, it was created in 2017, 2018 school year. When you look at that, every one of our board members were not board members then. About half of our students have moved on and graduated. Our administrative team, none of them were at the current sites they are now. So things have changed. Our students have changed. Our staff has changed. So that's why we're moving this forward. Now, our core team that you're going to meet everybody here tonight as they come up, we're not the ones determining what gets put on this mission and vision. In fact, when we all talked during earlier in the year about putting this project together, you guys made it very clear to me that you want this to be community driven. You want to hear from the students, you want to hear from the parents, you want to hear from the community in all aspects possible. And that's really what our job is to get the input from everyone that is willing to participate in this. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. And again, we're trying to create a mission and vision that guides how our students move into their tomorrow, tying into Lily's presentation, when we're not quite sure what that tomorrow is going to look like for them. So we're trying to do that in a way that allows that freedom to be able to choose and be successful in the future that we're not quite sure what it's going to look like for every student, especially these kindergartners this year. What is that going to look like with just AI alone? What is it going to look like when they become adults? So things are changing, but I think we can put the team together in our community and really dive in and do this. One of the things I would also like to say is Mike Rule is here from the county, and he does this for a living, but I think he's probably more excited than all of us about this project and the way it's being done. So hopefully that's a little bit contagious. And again, this is going to be, I think it's going to be an amazing project at the end that you guys will be able to look at and be very proud of. Thank you.
As far as who is our team, so we want everybody really involved in this process. Like Mr. Pruitt was saying and Mr. Cope was saying, we want to involve all educational partners. So we want students, we want staff, we want parents, we want you as the board to provide input as well. We're looking for community members. We're going to have various committees. We do have our core team, but we're going to find various ways that make sure that all of our educational partners are part of this process and there's input for that as well.
Yeah, so as you can see, our core team are those of us that are speaking tonight, Mr. Pruitt, also Nancy Fox, myself, Alyssa Souza, Rosie Arteaga, Anita Palacios, Rosie Briones, and Dan Cope. And just like Dr. Souza said, we are just the group that's kind of coordinating these efforts and trying to organize the committee meetings where we'll elicit input from everybody at all of the sites and within the community together.
All right. Well, as Justin said there, my name is Mike Ruley, and I am with the Stanislaus County Office of Education. And really my role here, as Justin kind of outlined, was to provide an objective voice and also just to help kind of project manage and how all of the pieces are going to move together. Now, beyond that, it's really hard to be with this team and not get excited about the work that we're doing. I mean, the way the team is working together, the spirit, the energy that's there, it just seems like it's a lot of great teamwork that's happening here. And I'm really excited to see what we're going to be able to accomplish. But it is going to be a long road. Now, to create a mission and vision statement would be relatively simple. We could write down some words on a piece of paper. They would probably fit our district pretty well, and then we could move forward. But that's not going to be a good use for anybody. So by engaging in this process and taking the time that it needs in order to follow the steps, to make sure that we get feedback from everybody, to make sure that we're building teams that not only give us feedback today, but we set up systems to be able to get feedback all along for the rest, for years to come. That's what's really going to help build a Newman Crow's Landing into what we know it can be. So ultimately, right now, we're establishing those teams. We're having discussions about what the plan is going to look like. We want to be very deliberate and intentional in every single thing we do because this is such an important thing for so many people. As I understand it, Newman Crow's Landing School District is the largest employer in our area. Hey, that's a lot of people's lives that depend on us here. So we want to make sure we do this correctly. So right now we're going to start creating the processes. We want to spend the remainder of this year really building a very solid plan so that everything we do is, again, intentional and highly focused. So then next year when we get into this process, we'll have the plan in place. We'll know all the pieces. We'll have set up all of our foundations to be able to carry out everything we need to do. Everywhere from getting the staff rallied, rallying students together, getting everyone together to identify what needs do we have, what strengths do we have, how are we going to utilize and capitalize on all of that to build us into the schools of tomorrow. And then finally, we want to create specific goals. We want to create products that are going to help us out here, which will take us to the outcome of this work. It'll be a clear mission and vision statement. That's great. We want to create an impact report and start creating a process where we can each year really look back and have a very solid understanding of where we've grown, where we've come from, and also leading into where we're going to go next. We want to be able to update communication. We want to rally people around messages that are going to support each other. One thing I've really noticed about Newman Crow's Landing School District already is how much you care about everybody who is here. And I mean, look at the presentations tonight. There's so much care in this room. I loved your presentation, especially the part about if anyone got hurt. I'll probably be sharing that story a number of times down the road. But ultimately, what I believe we're going to have is a stronger community. And ultimately, when you build a community by leaning on everybody in the community to put those bricks into place, you have a very strong community to move forward and you could tackle anything at that point. So ultimately, what will we have? A unified community.
Good evening. It is a process, but an exciting one because it will allow our community to come together with one focus and allowing for all stakeholders to have a voice, to give us feedback, ask clarifying questions, and motivate each other to really contribute and inspire to be a part of this mission and vision statement.
To our board members, I do want to take a moment to emphasize the important role that you play in this process. As board members, your involvement ensures that our team remains responsive to the values, to the beliefs, and to the priorities that are of the community we serve. We will need your help in actively engaging with the areas you represent, listening to their perspectives, and encouraging them to participate in this renewal process alongside of us. Your leadership as a board and outreach will contribute to a collaborative and inclusive approach, and we look forward to the work ahead with you.
I just want to end with, we want to make sure that everybody who is participating, who is willing to collaborate, that we're all active participants in the process so that we hear from everybody.
So in closing, I want to thank actually everybody on the team for their leadership in this. They've taken this job very seriously and every one of them is fully engaged. And I want to thank you guys for allowing us to move forward with this. So, and again, together we do have the opportunity to shape this district and actually give us a guidance for every decision that we made if we can get a relevant mission and vision statement that really does align with our community. And I like Mike Ruley's from a unified school district to a unified community. So I think that's really what we would be trying to achieve through this. Any questions?
Excited.
Thank you. We are too. More excited than Lily.
Bless you. Item F, our second interim budget report.
Good evening, board, staff, and community. I am Cassandra Figueroa, and I'm going to give our second interim report this interim. Okay, let me see if I know how to use this. Okay, so this is, just so you know, our interim is reported twice in the year. So the first one was given in December. This one is our second one, and it tracks all of our spending from July 1st to January 31st. So numbers do change throughout the year. Okay, so these are the items that we consider when we go into our interim: one-time funding changes, ADA changes, enrollment changes. And then in January, the governor does release his budget, which gives us different numbers, and I'll go over those. Okay, so yes, this is giving you our original budget, which we give you at the beginning of the year. And then it did change in the first interim in December. And then again, this is through January 31st. So this will show you that little clip. Our LCFF sources did decrease by 1.2%. Our federal revenue, other state revenue, and other local revenue, those all did increase. So combined, it's about a 2.1 increase from our original stated budget. And also, you'll see as well, our expenditures did increase. So our certificated salaries increased, classified, and benefits are going to increase with the salaries. Books and supplies, those also increased. Everything increased to about 9.7%. There's different factors that go into why things increase. Sometimes it can just be a need for employees, a need for new materials, curriculum, different things are taken into those numbers. So back in 22-23, the reserve cap was triggered, which is the 8%. When we do the budgets throughout the year, there has to be a certain amount that we need to reserve for economic uncertainties, and the board approved 8% at one point. The state does have, the federal does have it at 3%, but our board is 8%. There is also where we could have it at a potential 10%, but it needs to be board approved, but it cannot exceed a 10% for economic uncertainties. So this is the snapshot of what we have projections right now. As you can see, it's kind of hard to read it if you don't know the financial side to it, but after everything, our ending balance is 12,34550.33, and that ending fund balance is then broken up into different components. So $5,000 is always in our revolving account, which we use for kind of like if there's a payroll issue, if there's an emergency, if somebody needs a check, that's what we use it for. Our restricted balance is always the same from the ending balance that you see, and the assignments fund ending balance, Fund 17 ending balance, those are specified for certain things already: materials, curriculum, projects, those are already accounted for. And then you see the reserve for economic uncertainty. That combined with the Fund 17 balance is our 8% that we need. This one is showing you our differences throughout the years that we're projecting, our total revenues minus our expenditures. And so the ending balance is not not what we have. That is actually just the decrease from the year. So right now you see our revenues are exceeding our expenditures, so we are deficit spending by 7.9 million roughly. And then the following year, again, another 4 million and then 1.54 million. The pension is something we cannot, it's mandated, it's given to us, there's nothing we can do, and those are constantly fluctuating. Right now, STRS is stable, but PERS does continue to increase. Hopefully this is it. Now that we're done with our second interim, we're gonna start on our next budgeting for the following year. So these are the snapshots of everything that we take into consideration when we do start projecting for 25-26. The COLA right now is 2.43. It was at first interim 2.93%, so it did decrease a little bit. And then as you can see, this right now is our LCFF target funding rate, unduplicate student percentage. This is what we have projected for our enrollment, and our LCFF amounts are projected to be a total of $42,381,837. So these are the items that we watch for when we are projecting for next year. Depending on the COLA, can it be fully funded without revenues deferrals, which will impact our cash flows? Will we have new programs? Will we need funds moved? It's kind of like a big Excel sheet that we just have budgets throughout the year for. And then again, we monitor the ADA, and depending on that, depends on how much monies we get. And then with the federal revenue right now, there's different topics going around with how much money we're going to get. So we just need to be prepared. Any questions?
Any questions for Cassandra? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are routine in nature and usually do not require board discussion. Individual items may be removed by the board members and presented for discussion and separate action. The consent calendar will be adopted by a roll call vote. As amended, we're going to remove item E. I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as listed with the removal of item E.
I make the motion.
Second,
I second.
thank you. Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy,
Aye.
Ms. Rivas,
Aye.
and myself vote aye, Mr. Cabral. Item number 10, action items. Item A, approval of the second interim budget 24-25. Is there any questions for item number A? Could I have a motion for item number A? Approval of the second interim 2024-2025.
I make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Second,
I second.
thank you, Mr. Walk. Mr. Rivas,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy, Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk,
Aye.
and Mr. Cabral votes aye, 5-0. Item B, approve resolution 24-25/08, discontinuance of classified management services. Any questions for item B? Can I get a motion?
I make motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
Mr. Rivas,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy, Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk,
Aye.
Mr. Cabral votes aye, 5-0. Item C, approve district-wide LED lighting upgrade. Any questions? Can I get a motion for item C?
I'll make that motion.
Second, Ms. Rivas,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy, Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk.
Aye.
Mr. Cabral aye, 5-0. Item D, approve Bonita Lighting Upgrade Project. Any questions for item D? Can I get a motion for item D?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Rivas,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy, Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Walk.
Aye.
And Mr. Cabral aye, 5-0. Item E, approve contract with Valley 29 Electric for Bonita Elementary lighting upgrade. Any questions? You guys just don't want to ask Matt a question? Okay, item E, motion.
Well, when's it gonna start?
Oh,
Once it gets approved.
Mr. Vargas? All right. Motion for item E, approving the contract with Valley 29 for the Bonita Elementary lighting upgrade. Motion. Second,
I second.
Ms. Rivas,
Aye.
Ms. Rudy, Ms. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Watt,
Aye.
and Ms. Corral votes aye, 5-0. Item F, approval of 25-26 school calendar. Any questions? I have one question. Who built that calendar?
We have I'll let Dr. Sehan go.
So it starts off by committee and we present several iterations of it. A committee reviews it, and they come up with two options, which we present to all staff who then fill out a survey, letting us know which of the two options we would prefer.
So I looked at the ORSEMA graduation. You know, that's on a Friday night.
Yes. That was the preference of the committee. to move it to Friday. It traditionally has been on a Friday. It was just moved to Thursday this year and people wanted it back on Friday.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm good with it. Any other questions?
It's my birthday that day. Hopefully we'll have
Huh?
some cake. I said, it's my birthday that day.
Can we
Have
change the
some
date to
cake.
Thursday? I'll bring you the cupcake, gluten
Sounds
free.
good. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I have one here. Thanks.
I already told you guys my concern on about the calendar of every Monday being early release. Even at the high school and junior high. Hopefully we have a plan for that. That's a lot of students out early and hopefully. We have all hands on deck when kids are out early, so. That's all I got on that. I understand the elementary, but junior high and high school, it's a little much.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Motion for item F, approval of 25-26 school calendar. Second. Anyone?
I second.
Mr. Rivas?
No.
Reason?
I just don't like I just don't feel like. I don't know, I just don't like the idea of them getting, it just takes away an hour of the kids to be in class. Whether it's training that they're doing on Monday, some teachers might want to have the kids in school in the classroom instead of training. So I just feel like we're wasting kids being in the class, and it's every Monday.
All right. Ms. Rudy? Ms. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Watt?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. 4-1. Future agenda items, next month is our spotlight on YOLO Middle School.
For the future.
And yep. And then item number 12, our superintendent report.
Just a reminder that we do have a special board meeting on Friday at 1:30, so hopefully approve a project. And then I want to thank Alternative Ed a couple times, once for the art that they provided, And second, for kind of being inspiring and reminding us what it's all about. So I appreciate that. And again, I want to give a special thank you to the Mission and Vision Core Renewal Team. Thank you guys. You guys did awesome. Thank you.
Item 13, board report, Mr. Rudy.
I'll start with being able to attend the Every Student Succeeds and the teacher recognition. That was pretty amazing to have little small intimate ceremony for the teachers, but most importantly for the students. Also the Charlie and Chocolate Factory play. That was really fun to go and watch and see the amount of talent that our students in the district have. And for the Mission and Vision team, I know most of you, and I'm so happy you guys are on board. We're excited to be able to work with you guys. And I think it's been a long time coming that our district needs some kind of shape and moving forward for our students and to make a name for ourselves, not just to be known as Neiman Cruzani, but just to make a name for ourselves. And Mrs. Kivas, you knew I was going to call on you. You're doing an amazing job. And to hear the stories of your students, it's nice for them to not show up at that school and think that they're not good enough. And for you to empower them and to give them the tools and surround them with basically the necessities of what's out there. It gives them a good positive outlook for them to become something, not just to be known as, oh, you went over there, but to make a name for themselves. So keep it up.
Ms. Gonzalez.
I also had the privilege of attending the Every Student Succeeds and Teacher of the Year. They were beautiful, and it was an honor to be there and to especially see the teachers receive their awards. They just look so proud standing up there, and some of them have been with the district for so long and just really special. And I also got to see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was my first play here and it was amazing. I was really proud of all the kids that went up there, and it's just really cool. I felt like I was at a, fancy play and everything. My kids loved it too. And I got to do walkthroughs with Mr. Walk. Thank you to Von Runner, OHS, and YOLO for touring us around. It was also really nice to be able to see, especially with like some of the facilities projects that we have upcoming, to actually see what the changes are and some of the facilities that will be impacted. Very eye-opening at Von Renner to see what the portables, like what's the word, it looked like they were just in, deplorable condition. So I'm really happy that that'll be one of the priorities for us coming up soon. The Tomorrow project was beautiful. You guys know I'm a social worker, so it's always special to me to see disadvantaged youth being cared for and honored and just really respected in the community. It makes a big difference when you know that you have somebody in your corner.
Thank you. Mr. Rivas.
When I went to go have our dinner, I noticed that art over there and looks really good. And these kids are really talented at what they do. And it's not just this one, it's everyone I walk to is really good. The mission and vision is something that living here all my life in Newman and the community, I'm looking forward to it. And it's not just with us in here, but the town of Newman's and Diablo, and that goes here. It's gonna be great. And Mrs. Kivas, you did a great presentation. I believe it was last year we had one gentleman in here that was speaking, and he was the last one at graduation at the Orstem and walked. Yeah, and that's I think the overall goal is for them to go back to Orstem, correct? And that's something that is great to see, and hopefully we get more to do that. I really do. And keep it up, everybody. Good job.
Sherrod.
Yeah, my wife and I were able to attend the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory play, and it was great. lots of humor, and the kids looked like they were having an amazing time putting on the performance. And then Mrs. Gonzalez and I were able to go on some school tours, and we were able to look at the Apprentice and Career Expo at Oristimba. And that was really great to see. I even mentioned it to my principal, like, hey, we need to get something going at the high school I work at. So
Thank you, sir. I did also go to the Oristema Career Day. I go every year. It was amazing to see that many kids go through there. There's, I think, probably all of them. Thank you for the staff at the high school for putting that together. I went as part of the fire department and trying to recruit some new younger guys because I'm getting old. But thank you for doing that, setting it up, all the refreshments for the present presenters and different organizations that came out. Thank you. I did attend every student to see breakfast. It was really good. I'm kind of bummed there was no salmon this year. That was normally a huge favorite. I'm just kidding. I went to let's see, I went to Read Across America at Bonita. Thank you for Ms. Kivas for having us read to the kids over there. I attended one of the days with Mr. Pruitt. He got a 4th grade class. I think I was 5th grade. That was pretty good. And then Wednesday morning, Mr. Pruitt's gonna have superintendent coffee. So if you want to come have coffee with the superintendent, come on out and ask him much questions. I'm coming. I'm
When is
coming
it?
Wednesday. Make sure you have vanilla creamer.
8 o'clock right here Wednesday.
That's all I have for tonight. If anybody has anything else.
Kids, if you have any students,
Yeah,
come sign your.
come on, bring your notes up and we'll get them filled out for you. Meeting adjourned at 19:08.
All right.
7:08, I'm sorry.